So you're struggling to find an investment area in which you can go about building your BRR HMO portfolio. My name is Alfred. If it's your first time joining this channel, I have built a £4 million portfolio consisting of BRR HMO projects. So when it comes to trying to find your investment area, I know people kind of get lost in this. I need to find my investment area. What's the best area? Where can I buy properties in this country where they work well for HMOs? And actually, what people are doing is overcomplicating the process in which it actually takes to find an investment area. For me, it's very simple and very clear. I will, I guess, talk about my situation when it came to me finding my investment area. So at the beginning of my property journey, I was working at a place called Jaguar Land Rover, which is based in Coventry. So Coventry is like West Midlands of the UK. And I wanted to find an investment area in which I know HMOs work. The city that I was living, unfortunately, was a HMO heavy area. It worked for young professionals and it worked also for students because there's Coventry University and also Warwickshire University nearby as well. So those are two major unis that, again, you can create accommodation for and provide accommodation to those university students. So I already knew straight away the HMOs worked here. There was also another area where I actually lived, because obviously I worked in Coventry, but I lived in a place called Rugby. So Rugby again was another area. I say more up and coming. It was an hour away from London, literally 50 minutes on the train down to Euston. Or if you're coming up from London to Rugby, it's a 50-minute train as well. So you could actually live in Rugby and commute to work in London. So that was actually quite a great area for London commuters, or even like if you're traveling to Birmingham. Birmingham's like 20 minutes away from Rugby. So if you're commuting to Coventry, Birmingham, London, Rugby was another good area. And that was where I actually lived. So I could have literally chosen to invest in that area. But initially, when I was looking at investing, there wasn't enough data supporting HMOs, and there wasn't like overwhelming, undeniable data around HMO investment in Rugby. It's like there were HMOs, but there weren't as many as there were in Coventry. And I saw Coventry as more of an established city for HMOs. So some might argue, why would you not go to an area where it's less quote unquote saturated, i.e., because there's no data, there's not as much data as there was in other city where there's a lot more HMOs. It's like every street is a HMO. And actually, kind of, I guess, while we're on the subject, the concept of saturation for me personally actually tells me that there's a business model that works in that. Now, the issue I've got to solve is, can I fix the problem of marketing? I see saturation as a marketing problem. Can you market to be either best known, not even the best known, you just to be the most known? Because I could argue why there's still new water bottles coming out and overtaking some other water brands that have been here for decades. And it's very simple, right? Because they have literally come into the market. If they found a way to get in front of the audience they want to get in front of, and have able to make sales, because we know water, some people want, people always gonna want water. So whether it doesn't matter what the water brand is, right? People need water. So people are going to buy water. Yes, some have more favorable brands than others. And that's all because they've been marketed to and they perceive it to be the best brand. And sometimes it's not even about the best water. Like if we did a test of what's the best water, it's probably the one that gets drunk the least. But if we did a test on what water brand people drink, you'll quickly start to realize some of these waters aren't even that great. Like they're not great products. So again, people believe you have to have a great product to do business and do well in business. Actually, sometimes it's about who's best known. If you're best known in the marketplace, you're front of mind, you're the first one that comes to mind when you think of this thing, when it comes to water, you're the go-to brand. So you don't always have to even be the best. And so for me, when people talk, oh, an area is not saturated, why would you go into a market that's saturated? Actually, I'm like, you just don't understand the game. You just don't understand business. Because your ability to be able to market and get around the right customers can mean that actually now you can grab market share. You're going into a market that has the shit, like people really already want this thing. There's already demand. It's already proven. It makes money in that market, and it's like now you're trying to beat the competition. How can I get ahead of the competition? What can I do differently? Like what's my unique selling point to get in front of these people? So me going into Coventry, for example, yeah, people could argue that is a HMO saturated quote unquote area, but I went into that area and believed I can break the ceiling rents, because I'm like, you guys aren't even offering great products. So I understood what my competitors are offering. I'm like, you guys are just offering rooms that are just shitty. Haven't really thought about the user experience in that room, the functionality of the room being created. Like I can just easily come in and start getting attention, because I'm like, one, people found it unusual that I was creating these luxury type HMOs in Coventry. Like everyone else kind of keep like creating standard rooms, haven't really thought about design, haven't really thought about how to create user functionality within the rooms. Spotlights, I was like one of the only landlords really offering spotlights in their rooms. And it was like, these are little things that I was doing ball switches, bedside switches, having a TV inside your room. Like these were all little things I was doing. Wi-Fi boosters being provided across the entire property, so it is equal signals across each floor. Mini fridges in the rooms and stuff. Like these were all the things I was putting into my properties, where other landlords didn't have. Some landlords might have had one or two of these things, but weren't having every single thing. So like this is how I just came to the market and stole market share, because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get my rooms let because I have the best product on the marketplace. And for me, another thing I guess I took upon was I can provide actually genuinely a better product than most landlords. So if I buy on the right street, I'm gonna literally rent all day long. And I did that, and that's what allowed me to start seeing traction, building income from these properties. And so kind of coming back to the original thing, which is how do I find my investment area? There isn't really a formula or way in which you go about doing it. For me, the way I say people kind of look at for your investment areas, like you don't necessarily want to travel or commit to an area where you can't consistently go to those investment areas. So you've got to be comfortable. What is the kind of mile radius from your home that you're willing to travel to? And if that means it's an hour, 2 hours out max, you look at what towns and what cities are in that radius and what falls within that, and can you start investing in those areas? Do not lead with, do I have enough money to be able to invest in that area? The money problem for me, again, it's a limiting belief. If you feel like, oh, I can't invest in London because London property prices are too expensive, whichever way you look at it, like you're going to try and invest in an area maybe it's further away from you, and you're going to struggle to actually get traction because you're like, it's too far, I can't get to the area as quick as I want to. I don't have a competitive advantage in terms of being able to submit offers on a weekday, for example, because I'm having to wait for my weekends to finish work and then travel to my investment area and submit offers. You're just going to get hurt either way. Like, it's just going to take you longer to get the ball rolling, versus if you were actually willing to commit to an area where you knew week on week, day on day, you can get to that area very quickly and do viewings and have an advantage over your competitors. And so kind of coming back to kind of granular steps, I would focus on what is next to me, proximity, in terms of being able to travel to these areas and commit to traveling to these areas, and not overthink again, like, is this the right area? Obviously now there's a lot of talks about Article 4, so if you're not familiar with what Article 4 is, so Article 4 is something that's just directionally put around permitted development rights, and in this case they're taking away the permitted development rights when it comes to being able to take a house and convert it into HMO. So don't, again, let that cloud your judgment of where do I go. Some people are still investing in Article 4 areas. It just means that you have lower stock to be able to access in terms of being able to find properties that you can go in and maybe add further units to, or even some areas point blank you just can't buy a house anymore in that area and convert to HMOs. So again, that means that stock levels to be able to even do that, or even be able to even go in that market and build further HMOs, is near enough impossible. So in that case, you're left with cities and towns that are in those radiuses that allow you to go in and buy a house and convert to HMOs. That is what you were looking for. And you can very quickly establish like what areas have worked for other investors. And that's the data set you just go and gather through YouTube, through Instagram. You can start doing some searches of the investment area you're looking at potentially, and see if there's anybody out there actively buying those areas. And if it's working for them, chances are it can work for you. If they're doing a model in which is the same which you're trying to replicate in that area, then that's someone you may want to get closer to and see if you can kind of emulate what they've done. Or find other investors in the area who are doing the same thing. You can call letting agents and kind of get a feel for what their landlords are doing and when they're bringing properties to them. And they can maybe put in contact with other landlords in the area to get data sets around, okay, is this area something that could work for myself? So like, to kind of put it simply, and where I've always seen this investment areas is stop complicating it by trying to assess every little area. Yes, you want to look at what demographic of tenants you're going to get within those areas. Are you going to be dealing with young professionals? Are you going to be dealing with students? Or is it blue collar workers, asylum seekers? Like, what type of people are in those areas that you're looking at buying? What's the council's attitude to being able to convert a house into a HMO? Is there Article direction? There is not. These are all factors you're going to consider, I guess, what area you go to, right? And like I said, it's still within that radius in which you're willing to travel, but you obviously have to consider these things. Management is a big thing I talk about. It's only an asset if it provides you income. So if you've got poor management, don't know how to vet tenants, and they put tenants who are non-paying, guess what? You're going to have problems getting your assets to perform, and therefore they become liabilities, and you're then having to fork up money to be able to maintain your properties in terms of mortgage payments and stuff if they're non-paying tenants in those properties. So management is super, super key. Another thing is obviously what type of cash flow would I be receiving from that area if I invest in that area, i.e. what the rents in those areas versus minus my expenses and mortgages, what am I achieving in those areas? Am I happy with those figures? And if I am, you obviously will do that. And ROI as well, is like, what's my return on investment in this area? So again, it kind of ties in with cash flow, but like, these are kind of the kind of metrics you'll be looking for in these areas. You can look at demand and look at, again, is there a high demand for tenants wanting properties in those areas, and there's a limited stock of properties available for people looking for properties. These are all checks you can do to kind of assess, okay, this area takes the box. But in the first instance, it's where do you live? How far are you willing to travel? Is it an hour? What cities fall in those hour? If it's 3-4 cities that all work off have HMOs in the cities, okay, start assessing those areas for those things I just listed, i.e. those factors are listed, and start seeing which one do you like out of the 4 or 5 or 2 or you're considering, and go with the one, and just don't overthink it. Just select one. This should be like a week process. You shouldn't take you longer than a week to find your investment area. Obviously, I guess if you know what you're doing, and I'm hoping in this video I've given you the kind of the steps of how you can go about achieving this. Obviously, if you're wanting more support and you're looking to actually take this seriously and to go to the next level, and want to surround yourself with people that have been there and done that, and be around people that are doing this at the highest level possible, I obviously have a BRR HMO community whereby we help people on a weekly basis when it comes to deals, floor plans, numbers, workshops around their site visits, all that stuff. There's a link in the description for you to be able to reach out to ourselves and see how we work as a community. And hopefully if we're fit, we'd love to invite you obviously to come on board. But for me, the biggest thing is you've got to be committed to wanting to invest in yourself, and you've got to be willing to be part of a network that everyone here is there to empower each other to get to the next level. So guys, that's it, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.